start singing the.
Wait for this thing to turn.
Their turn.
It's not 7 o'clock. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like it's 7 o'clock and we'll begin the regularly scheduled meeting for February of the School Board Association. If you would, please. Oh, roll call first.
Mullins,
Here.
Noble,
Matter of fact, here.
Pagers,
Here.
Wagner, Gunn.
You join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. Salute, flag.
of the United States of America, and its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have opportunity for the public to be heard. Thank you. Mr. Toby Harvin. Okay, just to remind you that you have 5 minutes to speak your piece. And you can begin when you'd like.
I appreciate the opportunity to address the board again tonight. Something that's really come up in conversation I've been having with the community is why is this guy addressing the school board? Well, I mean, I can't answer to every one of them, so I hope some of them will catch it from here. The school board is actually who runs our school system. And that being said, I said, school board function. They establish the vision and goals for the public schools in their district. And they set standards for the performance of schools and superintendents. School board members are elected by people in their community to represent their values, views, and desires for the public school in their district. That being said, essential attributes of an effective school board member: be prepared to participate responsibly, focus on serving all children, remember that you identify that your identity is with the community, not the staff, represent the community, not a single constituency. Be responsible for group behavior and productivity. My reason to rise tonight is I placed a question before the board last month on some of the Teacher of the Year nominees and some of the things around that. And I asked the school board, is this something that the school board signs off on? I didn't receive no answer that night and have had no answer to that question since. So I guess my problem is that the school board is the people's input to the public school system. And I believe the people of Sand Springs deserves the right to ask questions and have them answered. Because it is critical that the people we're voting for, they're voting for the values and the things that we as a community want our school board to head in that direction. So again, I asked, is there a time or a place where I can address the school board and questions will be answered? I don't know. I would like to have that opportunity. I feel like that if the school board feels strongly enough about certain situations, that they would be more than willing to talk on those topics and just have discussion. I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments. We will now move on to the number 4, Spirit Awards.
I'll go first.
Go first.
I got a big group out here and I'm gonna ask for some help. I'm gonna ask Mr. Ross to join me. My understanding is that, I mean, we do things electronically, we do things, we got filmmakers in our organization. Coming up here, Mr. Ross, and we're gonna recognize 5 of your outstanding students who, I'm gonna read part of this because it makes sense, and then we'll let him tell the story as well. That the students nominated independently is what's important about that. Produced a short film entitled Santa's Debt Crisis. Their film was submitted to the Oklahoma City University High School Student Film Festival, where they were one of 20 films selected from a pool of over 250 applicants to participate in the juried festival. Among a field of international entries, the student group was the only one to represent a high school from Oklahoma. This is the Oklahoma City University. Their film premiered on January the 15th and was given accolades, including an offer of a $5,000 scholarship to Sam Bennett. And so I'm going to ask the students to come up and join us tonight. I mean, what a deal. These guys, and I say guys, they're all guys. They decided, a couple ladies in it. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. But this group of students, they independently decided, here's something that we want to do. I love it that Sand Springs has the resources and the talented teachers and the expertise that give us the opportunity to go out and do whatever you want to do. Mr. Trout always says you can go anywhere from Sand Springs. And this is an opportunity for that. So I'm going to ask them to come up and join us tonight. And then I'll allow you to share more about the kids and the school. First, Phil Kolb, and my apologies. So, but thank you for what you do. Very nice. I'm gonna give this a Sonic gift card to go with this. So lunch tomorrow. You got that. Sam Casta.
You two Sam.
At least a picture.
Have a good
You can dribble that pictures and all that stuff. So Sam, congratulations. Thank you, sir, for what you do. What you're getting, I didn't tell what this is. This is the Stand By Spirit Award. And what it says, this certificate is awarded to, it's got their name. It says for outstanding achievements and accomplishments in representing the Sand Springs Public Schools and the community at large. It says, think beyond. I promise you this group of kids is thinking beyond for making movies. So Logan Roberts,
He had to cancel last second.
I will give this to Mr. Ross and he can, you make sure he gets that. You help me out there. Hunter Ashton. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for what you do. And Sam Bennett. And Sam, I saved you for last because I said this scholarship to Oklahoma City University.
Oh, yes.
Please, so y'all need to get in the middle, and I want Mr. Ross to tell a little bit more about this.
So, Mr. Mullins, can I say one thing? I believe there was another girl.
Yes, Madison Beard was a part of this crew as
So-
well, and I have her certificate.
Okay, so you have that already too, so I didn't want to
Got
yeah.
that set up with that. So, just a little about this crew. So I have the 2 Sams in class, and they, as you said repeatedly, this was an independent thing. They this is a group, they call themselves Time Crunch Studios. For those of you, since this is streaming on YouTube, they have a channel set up, and they've produced 2 shorts now, and there's a 3rd one coming, right, Sam?
Yep.
Okay, and the drive and just endless fount of creativity that comes out of these guys is terrific. And, I really can't wait to see what comes next. Like you said, Mr. Trout loves to tell us you can go anywhere from Sand Springs, and, seeing them get, again, as we said, seeing them represent not just Charles Page High School, but Oklahoma in an international juried competition. Wow. So I am super proud of this group and can't wait to see what comes next. And I've been leaning on Sam that when he signs the big deal with the guys at Marble or something, that a little honorarium to old Mr. Ross rejected. But no, very, very proud of this.
Can you tell us just a little bit about the film?
Yes. What do you want to know about it?
Is that brave, me asking that question? Please.
What would you like to know about it?
Just the Santas,
Santa's Debt Crisis, featuring Hunter Ashton, playing the role of Santa, Vale Saw playing the role as Fauna, Santa's, financial assistant. Sam Casto playing the role of a voice actor, at the very end, no spoilers. And me playing the role as the director, cinematographer, and the editor. Logan Roberts, who wasn't here today, he composed the soundtrack for it, and that's the crew.
I'm gonna
Oh,
throw
and
in,
Madison Beck was the prop master. Can't forget her.
I want to throw in also, it's very funny. So it's a comedy. It is a comedy, and the wit is quite.
Can you send a link, Mr. Ross?
I absolutely can. And then on top of that, Mr. Scott, hold on. And on top of that, I'm going to throw in a little plug for the Santonian has it. We have it posted on the Santonian website as well.
I'm not surprised Santa would have a debt crisis, honestly. I'm assuming that the
Dale is so good at being the bookkeeper, just kind of laying it out there for him. It's great.
have you met our accountant, right?
well, good job, you guys. We're good.
Y'all, can you get a bit? Anyone have?
I'll put them down. Do you want these angled outwards?
Yes, please, the director. All right,
Shot composition here.
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Ralph.
Good job, guys. Okay,
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Ken Barsh would join me, please.
This gentleman has done something that I don't think I could ever do. He was nominated by Derek Morrow for excellence in scholarship, leadership, and chess. He received a medal at the OCAs of the Oklahoma Chess Association. Nice. He received a medal at the OCA tournament for winning multiple, not just one, multiple matches by checkmate. So congratulations. Candidates for the award is awarded to Ken Barsh for outstanding achievements and accomplishments in representing Sand Springs Public Schools and the community at large. Congratulations.
Can I just add one thing? You know me, I can't stand it, but chess is a tough game to
Yes.
play and it's very strategic and it takes a lot of patience and you have to be very thoughtful about your moves. And I almost challenged this guy to, I'm scared of him though. I almost challenged him to a match, but I don't know. He's, golly, it's awesome.
I can see it in his eyes, he's ready for it.
Like, bring it on. I used to play, but it's been a while. I feel like I don't win on that one. So congratulations. That's a big deal.
All right. 1, 2, 3. 1 more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Good job.
So this is a very special award because I don't do these. I don't like getting up in front of talking, so. But near and dear to my heart, Brody, come on up here. Football, ex-football player, well, football athletes, I love all athletes, but football is near and dear to my heart. And Brody was recently selected to be a member of the 2023 Oklahoma Coaches Association All-State Team as wide receiver.
There you go.
Wide receivers make the quarterbacks look good. So that's what we do here. So we have the Standout Spirit Award to Brody Rutledge for outstanding achievements and accomplishments in representing Sand Springs Public Schools and the community at large. You bet. Good job. Mr. Frank, Coach, you want to say something?
I'd love to say something.
Yes, you do, because
How much time we got? You know,
I have to get a photo.
sit over here now. I'll stand closer so I look taller. No, Brody's one of those guys that was just a pleasure to have. I've been here for 3 seasons, and so Brody has been his whole varsity career has been with me, which isn't easy. There's been some interpersonal battles, been tough conversations, but everything's done out of much love. And now that he's gone, a lot of respect for this young man. He's a guy that is going to make a huge investment in his future and his future family. He's going to go to Northeastern State on football scholarship and represent Sand Springs, and a great man like he has his whole high school career here. He'll be back here in about 20 years. He'll be taking one of y'all's board seats. Congratulations, Brody. Appreciate it.
1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And if you, Reggie and I, good luck to you. Thank you. All right, looks like I don't have to give my speech because everybody's listening. Now we're gonna get into the nuts and bolts of the Sand Springs board meeting. So Ms. Durkee, take it away.
So we'll start with student and teacher empowerment, which is one of the legs of our strategic improvement plan. You all have probably heard in the news, the A3F report card is getting ready to come out soon. I don't have a date on that because we haven't heard from that from the State Department of Ed, but again, just know that it's coming out. I sent you guys information a couple of weeks ago corresponding to our grades. If it stands with what we think it is, we will have 1A, 2B, 2C's elementary, and then 2C secondary, Boyd Middle School and Charles Page High School. Honestly, I'm proud of that. You'll read articles in the World and in the Oklahoma about, the progress of public schools. I happen to think that we're doing a really great job. Interestingly, I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago with a fellow who's done a lot of research about school improvement. And he was noting the correlation between poverty schools and schools that are not. And the correlation between student performance is very correlated to poverty. And in the context of the meeting, he said, so no offense for you guys that are out there with, very little poverty in your schools. You've got the A, good for you, but you have to understand that speaks a little about school performance. And he went into this whole degree of benefits-based performance measures, which we're starting to take a peek at now. With that said, Sean Beard's going to be closer to the end of the year going over our benchmark results. I know I had a question from one of you guys about what is a good measure of student performance, and we presented benchmark performance last year around February when we had the fall and winter benchmark, and that's all grades pretty much. Definitely younger, 3rd through 5th are significant because those are the tested grades, and then middle school and high school as well, where you can see we can drill down to individual performance. What Mr. Beer will be presenting is school performances as groups, because we don't want to obviously put individual scores out, but it's really interesting to see the growth. We decided to wait until winter or spring benchmarks are done so that you can really see the entire picture of a school year as we measure the growth of students in our grades. Obviously, we're still playing catch up from COVID, there's no doubt. So to have that much of a disruption in school, it takes a while to catch back up, but we're seeing some really great progress. And so I'm proud of our teachers. That's really the first thing I want to say to look for. PD Day is coming up February 20th. So in a couple of weeks, we're off for President's Day. However, the kids are off. Teachers are going to be impacted by some pretty great professional development. I shared a link with you with all of the breakout sessions that Mr. Beard has planned.
For the volunteer to teach those classes, that's pretty amazing.
So,
I'm impressed.
yes.
Gee,
Well, I thought that was the teachers going to the police department.
It's not that they do volunteer, and Mike, they have a lot of expertise, and we know this within our own setting that they want to share.
I like it.
Yeah, I've been you'll see me on there with kind of Q&A with the superintendent. So I, most of the time, go out and just say, hey, come to my session, ask me questions. And they do get some good questions from that group of people, but it really is about improvement. This year, I will say I'm ditching a little bit early. Stan Trout, Ryan Biven, Tim Ray, and myself are heading to the Capitol. February 20th kicks off Public School Week, and we've been asked to set up a table in the rotunda, share our vision and our process by which we literally try hard to create an individual plan for every kid at Charles Page High School. So we talk a little bit about why Career Day, why it's important to have community partners, why we have STEM education and all the other pathways that we have at Charles Page High School, and then how we use our blended model with virtual so that we can create schedules that make any of that work for kids, of course, with our internship program. So anyway, I'm pretty excited.
We talking to.
So whoever shows up, I feel like Public School Week will yield a lot of people. So there's going to be a lot of people, but then the other part of it is we're going to be going and visiting legislators. There's a lot on the table with public schools this year, as you know. One of my passion is, the whole voucher thing, and I won't go into detail tonight necessarily, but I've been pretty public and outspoken about why I think that's bad policy for public schools. So we'll be talking through and just showcasing some of the things that we do. I like to think that Sand Springs is one of the most innovative places in the world. I think that's the case, but also know there's public schools everywhere that are doing the same kinds of work. We just are very intentional about making those happen. So really proud of our team. So questions about student and staff. So, okay, PLAC was the bridge that actually emailed Mr. Ray to begin with on the recommendation of Pam Deering, who's the executive director of our Corporate Council for School Administration. And so I connected with Pam. You have to ask, and they are just willing to go share. Our team is amazing. But it's kind of a song and dance they do almost on a weekly basis, because we get a ton of people from all over the state coming in saying, how do you do it for the whole intervention thing? And what exactly does work mean? And, it's a suspension reduction program. So it's just really intimately considering all aspects of school life and how to make it better for every kid. And that's what they do so well. So anyway, pretty excited about being asked to be at the rotunda. To answer your question, okay, the PLAC, which is the parent group that leads advocacy in Oklahoma City. So. Moving on.
Move on.
Ready to go to item number 6, which is a discussion of district finance. We're going to transition to Ms. Newby when we get further down in the program with the second revised budget. So she'll be talking about that. Of course, this topic is pretty broad. One of the things that I will make mention is we continue as a state to have excess revenue. There's a lot of talk about, what to do with that excess revenue and how incredibly important making sure we're advocating for teacher retention, because you all know that we're in this place where we need to retain teachers, and there's several bills. I think there were 3,000 bills, over 3,005. OSBA is tracking, what did they say today? 530 something. 530, and OSA is about the same. So it's an immense amount of bills. I hate to kind of point out a ton of them, because March 4th will be kind of the committee deadline where they have to have passed the committee to even be heard later. So they'll be whittling those down, but there's a couple of pieces. Vouchers, one of them. Teacher retention is another, including teacher pay raise. There's several out there. I will say, from the regional standpoint, you guys have received, I'm sure, some OSSBA correspondence about how we are doing with per pupil with our regional average, and we need to step up our game. There's no doubt. Arkansas, I do know, has a bill proposed offering a 10,000 per teacher raise for next year, and Texas has a bill for 15,000 per teacher. That's a tall order for us, and to maintain some competition within our region, it's really easy to go across the border and teach Arkansas or Texas. We need to step it up, in my opinion, and do the right thing. So we'll see how that goes. PSO, I wanted you to be aware that they notified us about routine inspections and maintenance on one of their major lines that goes through the district. So picture Angus Valley, just north of Angus and north of our baseball complex, there's huge electric lines going right on our property line. They're gonna be doing maintenance through the month of February, so I wanted you to be aware of that in case you got questions. Other than that, facility wise, the central office remodel coming along nicely. It's gonna be summer, I'm sure, before we move in, but it looks beautiful. They're working really hard to get it finished. I met with Jeannie on Sunday at the site just to look over some finishes that she had some questions about. So love it that she's still very intimately involved with that project. Any questions about finance, resource, innovation? Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on, so communication and community involvement. We, first of all, I'm gonna give some kudos to Lisa Chittister. She's been fantastic. This is her second full year with our district, and I feel like she's been here since the day I started, honestly. And you get used to having that person around that can articulate and message in just a clear and concise way without a lot of emotion. It's just wonderful. So she's doing a fantastic job. I have to say she's been nominated for Young Professional of the Year. By the way, not by anyone in the district, which means people outside our district are noticing the work that she's doing. So she's been investing herself with the Sand Springs Chamber. She's willing to go to Tulsa Chamber. We're a member as a district. And so she's making herself very present in the community, and I love it. I mean, can't say enough about Lisa.
Send that success thing that you, somebody.
Yes.
About.
Yes, 100%. So the successes, she's, doing that newsletter, and then also the STEM newsletter. We asked her to bridge out and do that. And then she just came up with a flyer for our job fair that we're heading to on Friday, and it's beautiful. And it's amazing. So kudos to her. You'll see her up for a board, I'm sure. She's been great though. Of course, enrollment is getting ready to start hot and heavy, and we've been promoting it out. So it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. We're in such a better place.
Yes.
It's gonna open on March 1st. So Carrie, I don't know if you have to say anything in addition to that.
No, we just, Tina and I have been working on the application. We've got it good and ready to go. Last year we weren't able to roll it out until June 1st. And so we're going to have a 4-month head start to really get all the parents prepared for next year. And so, Lisa made a lovely graphic for that too. So that went out on the district website last week. So
I was stressed for about 3 days before I would ever get to a place where I had some conceptualized mind. So good job.
Is that why, sorry, Sherry, is that why Tulsa is advertising so much now that now's the time to enroll? They're encouraging the parents to get now is that time for.
right, because we call it enrollment, but it's really about verification of their data. So it's not like a student that doesn't go to school here. This is our kids who already go to school here, and they're just looking at all of their demographics and looking at all the information and saying, oh, nope, we moved. We've got to change our address. So it's really more of just verifying information. And that way we also know that they're planning on coming back next year. And then we open up that transfer portal on June 1st so that our elementary, middle school, they can all say, oh, I can take 8 third graders because I know this is who's coming back. So that's really what it's about.
Give us try it tags on the capacity report too, so we know. And it's, by the way, I can't say enough about Ms. Leahuber either. She's done a fantastic job. Enrollment's a big deal, and it's that transition to Infant Campus was tricky, and she did a great job with
So-
her.
Do transfers have to reapply every year?
No.
Once you're in, you're in.
With the new transfer law. So that everybody had to reapply for this school year. So now they don't. So anybody that is applying now is applying to be a new transfer. And that's language we're working to get out right now too, because that's new. In the past, you had to reapply every year. And so there are just a couple of parameters. If you have discipline issues that are consistent, or if you have attendance issues that are consistent, we would consider revoking your transfer. But otherwise, once you're accepted into the district, you're ours. Yeah.
I like people to transfer all.
Yes.
I do too. I mean, I feel like that makes the system a little bit easier once they get here, honestly, because chasing it.
Transfer in, not out.
That's what I mean. Right, exactly. Well, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but usually in July, we used to have that big, long transfer agenda item, which is no longer necessary because we produce cash. So, yeah, it's just different. Any questions about communication, families, community?
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 8.
So, Daybreak staff are there. He offered to come to the meeting tonight. I didn't really see a purpose in that. I'll wait until the end of the year to have Daybreak come back and speak to the board. We are working on a couple of grants. I say we very loosely. Ms. Newby's working on a couple of grants for a wellness center for equipment, which I'm really excited about. Our goal is to create things that other districts don't have to keep teachers here. And so one thing that I think would be kind of cool is a wellness center, so that that's a place for people to work out and, you know, keep their health hopefully better without having to pay a fee for like a gym membership. So we're delving into that. Christy's been pretty key on trying to access funding to help us support that goal.
Do you let Sean Beard do CrossFit in there? I mean,
I don't think he's a certified CrossFit. Maybe Jay might be. I don't know if Jay's a certified.
My son is.
We don't have that expertise, although Jeannie has offered up her daughter-in-law to do yoga. So there's that. So, but it could be a space to do those classes for a small fee, that if teachers want to pay for that fee, but just access to treadmills and weights and all those things. I think that would be a nice complement to some things we already offer.
You get a hold of Randy and you guys go yoga.
Oh, yoga. They call it, but I don't even know what that is. But I
Go yoga is.
It's
It's a real deal.
Yes. I'm writing it down.
Probably.
I would be there.
You would be there?
I mean, if I can be.
Oh, you could be. You really-
No.
employees only. Employees only.
I don't know.
yoga.
That's funny. The other thing I would say is item number 30 has some policy revisions that are newly revised tonight, but we're asking for approval up on first read. It has to do with some laws that have changed and also impacts our enrollment process too. So Carrie, you can expand on it, but there's some forms that we have to put in our portal for parents to fill out. One of them is about standing orders from a physician. If we don't get those in place tonight, I mean, it's going to be confusing for registration for our folks, because they'll have to come back and do this. Carrie, I don't know if you want to expand on that.
Sure. So earlier this year, you all approved for us to work with Dr. Rachel Ray to do standing orders for us. Lindsay Saintville, who is kind of our lead nurse for the district, has been really, really active in making sure in the Nurses Association that we're just doing things the right way. And so what standing orders do, like for example, if you don't have a standing order, you really aren't even supposed to like put Neosporin on a boo-boo, or any tiny small over-the-counter thing you're really not supposed to do. So what we've done is we've built the standing order into online registration. So that's one of the forms that the parents fill out that say, yes, I agree that my child can be administered Tylenol if they have a headache. And it is specific. So you don't just give blanket, like, yes, you can do whatever you want to do. Then within that same set of parameters, Lindsay went to some training where the state is offering us the opportunity to keep inhalers and EpiPens in stock. So they're non-prescription, but they're for emergency use. And so obviously those would be regulated by the nurse. A kid wouldn't be able to just come in and grab that. But it's going to give them the opportunity to keep those things in the building so that if there was an emergency that they could handle it right that minute.
So luckily, those things don't happen often, but it still is a big, really important to make sure you're prepared if that happens, because if there's an anaphylactic, you want to make sure that you're capable and ready. And I mean, I'm thankful for the 3 full-time RNs that we have in our district that help us with those things, and then also train our people to make sure they're ready to go. So, and those are free resources, the EpiPens, is that correct? Yeah.
It's kind of like the AEDs, but
Sure.
medication.
And I'm sure if you saw, we struck through a lot of things and rewrote them, and that was the nurses worked cooperatively with Dr. Ray to do all of that, to make sure that the language looked like how they wanted it to look, to make sure we were executing that the right way.
And all those,
Administration of the Tylenol and those particular things, is by the nurse. That's not my, I'm sorry, I want Miss Durkee giving me a Tylenol.
Correct.
Okay.
And because we have 3 RNs, there are also health aides that are at every building. So if a nurse isn't in your building that day, the designated health aide is gonna be that person. It's not me getting it out of my purse and offering it up. No.
The last thing I would say is also on item number 30, we're asking for approval of our wellness, health and wellness policy. It was first constructed by Pearson because we were kind of going for that healthy schools at different sites. So as Ms. Newby's been accessing grants, there's some additional language that are that's required in order to even apply for grants to help with our equipment for the wellness center. So she and Pearson put their heads together. Everything that's in that document would still be fine in terms of staying in compliance with what Pearson has to do for child nutrition. It was just one that I think there's a grant deadline soon.
The TSET grant, which is the one we've been talking about, the grant deadline is the 8th. So I'm grateful that that's why normally we wouldn't want to ask for a first read approval. But everything that is in this policy that you're going to see in the red wording, the district already does. It just wasn't reflected in the policy. So the excellence that the district is doing is reflected in the policy so we can apply for the grant.
Any questions for child safety? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are y'all ready?
Ready?
Okay, so just going to pull out a couple items I want to bring to your attention. The first is item number 14. This is stipends for a grant called the Stronger Connections Grant. You're going to see that later on under item number 20 in the consent agenda as well. Proud of that one. That was a grant written by Nancy Ogle. She's wearing a lot of hats now, but the cool part is, number one, you have to have health coordinators at your school sites, but the other beauty and the reason we wrote it is that that will enable us to pay for yet another resource officer in addition to Officer Parman through this grant for the next 3 years. And we, through the grant, will have enough dollars to pay for the entire police officer's salary. So in cooperation, it'll be another MOU that will ask the Sand Springs Police Department to write. And not only will we have one that says that we pay half, they pay half, but this will allow us to pay the entire salary for that police officer for the next 3 years. So pretty proud of that one. That was a lot of money. So good for Ms. Ogle. So I wanted to bring that into your attention as well. And then the last item, you don't see this very often, item number 25 is the ask for approval to surplus the following buses, and the VIN numbers are listed. Remember, we were able to purchase 10 new yellow buses with some of the COVID relief dollars, which means that some of our older buses we were able to surplus. So that would be a list of VIN numbers that we're asking approval to surplus. I think those are the only ones that are something that you haven't seen before.
Number 24, I like your connection with ECT. Very nice rates.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They've been providing a service contract to us for a while now, but they are committed to be there when we need them. As the teachers are well aware, when you run into a problem with one of your units and it's cold, we had that over Christmas break and they're on it. And there may be a delay because a part needs to be ordered, but they've been a really good partner helping us keep our heat and air working.
We should look at item 18 and make sure that everybody's aware of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the superintendent's conference is next week. National School Board Conference is April 1st through 3rd. Region 4 meeting, we are hosting that at the Freshman Academy. That's April 6th. High school graduation, you guys, this is a coup, is May the 20th at 7 o'clock at ORU Mabee Center. The reason I say it's a coup is because if you'll remember, prior to COVID, when we kind of had to, when we had to shift the way we did graduation, if you'll remember, our graduation ceremony was pretty early in the month. So interestingly, we lost that date in that process, but they came back and said, hey, you can have the 3rd week in May. I'm like, oh, okay, that works better. So It's the 20th. We do come back the following week for a few days, but it is closer to the end of the school versus the first weekend in May. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. And then the Cooperative Council for Oklahoma School Administrators Summer Leadership Conference. That's one we attend every year as well. It's in June. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything else anybody wants to bring up? We'll move on to action items.
Let me make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Let's do that.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Mullen,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. Maddox. Right. So now we're on to action item 27. Anybody feel the need to go to executive session to discuss employment recommendations?
We combine 27 and 20,
Um,
or 29, or 29, I'm sorry. Proposed executive session.
we'll just vote on 27. No need to go into for that. Okay, then we'll go into 29 for proposed executive session for the superintendent evaluation.
We'll skip number 28.
Oh, I'm sorry, 28.
I'll make a motion that we approve the employment recommendations as presented by the superintendent.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Call for vote, please.
Mullen,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. Okay, now 29.
Make a motion, we go to executive session to talk about the evaluation of our superintendent.
Second. Do we have a second? Yeah.
I'll second.
We
Call
don't.
for a vote, please.
Mullen, Wagers,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. We used to wait for somebody else to do it.
Sure, never know.
That's
All right, guys, we are now.
If it can be a race.
Keep it going. We are now in open session. Time is 8:11 PM. In executive session, we discussed the employment recommendations and evaluation of superintendent. No votes were taken. All right, you're up.
Item number 30, those are the policies that we mentioned in, my reports. Some of those, any ones that were not mentioned were ones that were first read last month. And those would be in second read. So we're asking for approval for the policies listed in letters A through H.
I'll make a motion, we approve the policies written.
Have a second?
through H.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote, please.
Collins, Wagers,
Aye.
Knobel,
Aye. Item 31, proposed approval of the district second revised budget for 22-23 school year as recommended by the chief financial officer.
I'll let Christie take this one away. I know you've already all seen the budget, the second revised budget, just to give you some highlights on some changes that have been made. As not only have I been notified about different increases in funding, such as our state funding, our foundation funding that had an increase, I also went through and looked at what current trends were on what we were receiving. If you look on the general fund revenues, I adjusted downward, property taxes prior year, just a little, same thing on district services. I adjusted our revenues down a little bit there. Basically, district services is driven a lot by the community action project, and it looks like we were billing a little bit less for a little bit, so that was adjusted down. If you look at the mortgage tax and also the other intermediate, I adjusted those down slightly. Again, it's because it's trending downward due to possibly less houses being sold for the mortgage tax. Same thing on motor vehicle collections. We're trending down just a little, so I adjusted it downward slightly due to less vehicles being sold, which again, that is driven by the economy and the fact that you can't find vehicles to sell. But overall, I'm not concerned about anything. I just adjusted them downward to reflect our current trends. But if you look under the foundation and salary incentive aid, you can see that we got just a little over $1 million more from the state, which we are very happy about. And there are some other corresponding areas. State textbooks went up a little. Same thing on some of the other assistance that are out there on federal programs as well. But nothing to be concerned about, and I think we're still in good shape on the revenues. And the expenditures and general fund expenditures, basically I just reflected those. I looked at the current trends of what the needs are for the district and adjusted anything up or down as appropriate. Any questions on those before we move on to co-op? On co-op, we had an adjustment of slightly 54,000 more on our alternative education. I put that in there and raised our budget. Same thing, a little bit more for Title III. Other than that, everything is still pretty good there as far as expenses. Any questions on that one? Building fund did not change. Child nutrition, basically the same. Same thing on bond. There was a little bit of adjustment as far as making sure that I have the appropriate amounts in there for the sales that come off of the spreadsheets that we get from the bond companies, but it's basically the same.
With child nutrition, Christie, just because last year it was all free. But so the revenue last year you have thought would have been way down because weren't all meals free last year?
But remember, those free meals generated a federal collection for meals.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would have accommodated for the lack of parent pay. because every one of them were free versus just a, yeah.
Any other questions? Sinking fund, same. And gift fund, I adjusted it just a little bit, but overall, those are the only areas of any significance that changed, and nothing is really that concerning from last time. So I think the district is still in very good shape and well on target to increase our prior year fund balance this next year.
Chair, I make a motion that we approve the revised budget dated 2/6/23.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Knuckle.
All right. Number 32, proposed approval of the Sand Spring Public School instructional calendar for 2023-2024 school year.
And this again was first read last month, and so we're asking for approval. And when we get that, if you so move to approve that, we'll be putting that out for the public to see. Getting quite a few questions about when's spring break, when's school starting, because people are starting to plan vacations and such.
I'll make a motion to approve the Sand Springs Public Schools instructional calendar for the 23-24 school year.
I'll second.
I have a motion.
We'll go back to school on January 1st, early.
No. Or second, I think, maybe the second.
We did that last year, though.
We did.
Same thing. We went last year, but
Who approved that, Kim?
Well, it was. Nice. Back to school in this, which I guess technically worlds of not school, or that would have been the holiday, the federal holiday for that.
Well, you know, we could blame it on Rusty and Jackie.
That's what I think.
We'll back to school on Tuesday, is what we'll do.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers, Knuckle.
All right. Item 33, you want to go over that?
Yeah, so this is just, I think this newbie keeping an eye out for ways to make sure we're yielding the interest that is allowable by law. And so when sees an opportunity to do that, I wanted to have board approval because we're asking for an additional certificate of deposit so we can yield interest. And so Christy, I don't know if you want to explain that, but that's basically what that is.
I mean, basically, we all know interest rates are going up and we're aggressively pursuing them to get the most that we can. At the same time, if you see a little bit of extra money in there that I believe we're not going to be able to need right away, that I want to place it into a CD, we're getting it at 4.25 right now.
That's good.
That's good. But it takes board approval because that's an additional account.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to set up an additional account.
I'll second.
Any discussion further? Call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Knuckle.
All right. 34. Any matter not known about?
There is not.
No. 35, announcements.
One that we did, should have been on the agenda. That's the TOY reception. It's also February 20th at 4:30, and I'll send you a calendar. reminder. 4 o'clock. My bad. Thank you, Sean. 4 o'clock, and that's when we do the big announcement for our district teacher of the year. Excited.
It'll be in the freshman commons. Did you say that?
No,
In the freshman commons.
that's in comments.
Charles Page,
Thank you.
not here.
John, would you like to tell us an announcement? We don't, you know.
Glad you asked. We have to change.
So February 20th, 4 o'clock in the freshman commons. Did I get it right? Okay,
Yep.
there you go.
February 20th.
4 o'clock.
Okay. Anything else from the?
No,
Okay, good. All right. Make a motion, we adjourn.
I will second.
Call for a vote, please.
Mullins, Wagers, Knuckle.
All right. We're